Hi there, welcome or welcome back. My name is Yuru, and today we'll talk about ONESHOT. Our story begins with Nico, a human-looking feline waking up from their slumber in what appears to be an abandoned room. And unless you couldn't tell already, this is my personal interpretation of how they would look with my style. I don't want to hear anything about it, at least I tried. The first thing we notice is a TV remote. We grab it and try heading towards the two doors only for them to be locked. Now normally the TV remote is unreadable, but under the window's faint light we can see the numbers that are needed to get out of the room. And since the computer is the only thing left, we interact with it to write the numbers shown before. Which then, this happens. As you can already guess by now, parasociality is what makes ONESHOT so special compared to all the other RPG Maker titles. The first time I played this, I was playing late into the night, so this gave me a fright, not gonna lie. I was looking frantically around my room like, how do you know my name? Also, it's always cool to have a game interact with you, even if you have played similar titles before. In order to complete puzzles, the game addresses you, the player, to help Nico by an in-game computer. You can open up new tabs on your computer and even change your wallpaper, which is neat to say the least. And with that, the doors unlock and we head to the bathroom to obtain a branch, then leave downwards as there's nothing else. With a little bit of investigation, we can easily open the basement. Once we make it down, we see a singular light bulb on the ground, and as soon as we interact with it, the music immediately changes to a much more cheerful tone and the room is now well lit too. We return back to a door that previously had a light emblem on it. We arrive in a worn down computer terminal, which then a cutscene with a very tall tower plays out. Now, a light-deprived purple-bluish colored palette accompanied by rundown robots and buildings indicates that this place hasn't been doing well, almost as it's been left to die out. With a bit of walking, we see a robot named Profibot that recognizes us as the savior of this world, then explains to us that this place, the Barrens, wasn't always like this. The tower that we saw in the cutscene when we first arrived, which was once used to hold the sun, has gone out, and that the light bulb we had was their new sun. An abundant element, phosphor, was able to store some light left from the previous sun, fortunately, but it was still a matter of time before the world ended. Remember, the Profibot called us the savior, so our job is to get the new sun to the tower. That's me! Hi! We go into Profibot's home. An illuminated solar battery sits there like a loot box waiting to be opened, but unfortunately, Nico has very frail arms, like me, so we need something to pry it open. We explore a bit to find another terminal which has a bed and a pipe. This is where the game explains to us that sleeping is our main way of saving. As we get back, we see a robot in the docks that's unable to move because of rust. Nico tells us that it will be needed to get onto the next area. We go into a factory that's literally right next to the house and crush the pipe that we got from the terminal to obtain a crowbar. And yes, you can try to crush the sun. We grab the broken solar battery, keep exploring, and eventually find ourselves in a maze-like place. In the middle, there's a locked safe, but we can't open it for now. We head east towards the mining area, which lies a house nearby. She also recognizes us as a savior, thinks Nico's a cat, and then proceeds to tell us that we should just let the world die naturally. What a great conversation starter, she's just like me for real. She explains that the tower isn't a built structure, but rather it has been there since the beginning. We then read the note on the table to learn that her name is Silver. We get the screwdriver from the shelf and head to the mines, which had been closed off, but Silver makes an exception by accompanying us. This is also where we find the camera needed to find the broken battery. We extract its lens with a screwdriver and done. Then we connect everything together and the power is back on. When we leave the room, we notice that the computer is now glowing. It tells us that the code is inside a document, and guess what? It's in your computer's document folder, so we find that and enter it to a safe that's near the mines. Inside is a gas mask, and a book which is in an unknown language to us and everyone for now. As soon as we walk away, the world corrupts, leaving glitched cubes on the surface. We'll learn about the cubes later. With the gas mask, we can now go to a new area which used to be closed off that is characterized by gas fumes and small volcanic structures. We make our way to the dormitories, where Nico says such amazing lines such as, "I'm scared of ladders." Omori would agree. And such a robophobe! Oh my god, Nico, Kibo would be so disappointed in you right now. With the note's help, we know that the humans and the tame robots were evacuated. We head to the clinic to get a syringe, and with that we use the tube on the gas and the syringe on the giant bubble. We make our way into what looks like an old factory. Inside the notes tell us to combine the bubble and gas. We then infuse the bottle of acid with the sponge. We clean the robot up but quickly learn that his navigation circuits have fried, so he instructs us to talk to Silver. She gives us a keepsake with another black clover symbol. Before heading off to the new area, talk to her and she will play chess with you. During it, she tries to explain taming to us, but only shrugs it off as being complicated, and that every other tamed robot has been evacuated except for her. She mentions that the sun's return won't help to save the world once again before the conversation ends and we make our way to the glen. Immediately, the scenery is so different compared to the Barrens. We go through a building and then lush greens everywhere. Fireflies swarm in the skies and pools of water surround the area. We move downwards and hear someone calling out. Apparently, he's looking for his lost sister, Alula. Near the ruins, we see a guard robot at the entrance to the refuge, which is where the tower is at. However, it doesn't let us in because we need to write our name down and it doesn't have a pen nor ink. Inside the ruins, we find another computer. This time, the key is our wallpaper. From here, we make our way down into a forest where we find Maze, a plant spirit that's on our deathbed. She makes a request to feel the sun once more before her death. We give her the sun. Now that the vines have cleared, we go into the puzzle room. Completing the puzzle reveals Alula, as she had been trapped there. And just look at her adorable face! I love her so much! We return her to her brother, who introduces himself as Calamus later on. Also, I can't with this scene, like we could have just kicked the cubes ourselves. The siblings gift us a sacred feather which used to belong to the savior before us. We head to the village and do a ram puzzle which gets us wool. We use that to exchange ink with the trader. We combine the feather and ink, which we can now use to write our name at the gate. Side note, this is totally optional, but I'd like to return to Maze, who is nothing but a kernel now. However, you can plant her in the garden to regrow her. As we venture deeper, the corrupted cubes appear behind us, getting closer. Once we leave, we stand before another new area called the refuge, and as the name suggests, it's where the people were evacuated to. The guardian robot at the entrance explains to us that the tower is beneath us, but only getting to it may not be enough, so we should check the library for any leads. And as the maze simp I am, I of course rush to the gardens first to replant her. We then hear someone shout shouting in frustration. We go to examine it. I'm just gonna call him Purple Guy for now. I'm checking in the wiki. Bro, his name is Lamplighter. The fuck? He tells us that the elevator's button panel is destroyed that's needed to get to the surface. We head onwards to the apartments, which has the cutest girl with an odd penguin. Hello?
Hello.
Jesus Christ! And this thing! Amazing. We take the fridge magnets from the dorm library. Have I told you guys that I love the dialogues yet? Take the scissors from this totally not suspicious bathroom. In the Upper East, we encounter a person with a clock for a head. Once we go downwards, the music cuts out completely. We interact with the computer again to obtain a film. And once we click on the film, it opens a new tab, and guess what? It's shaken time. The numbers you need are now illuminated. We walk past the bulky machine and into the outside. Nico tells us how they've never been to a city until now. The scene where they just stare at the vast city, thinking of how many people there are, the tall buildings and the dazzling lights, just remind me of my own city. It's very calming. It has a familiarity which anyone living in a city can relate to, in my opinion. The cafe is where the next item we need is, a coffee tin. Before combining the items, we go to bed, which afterwards we see a dream of Nico's mother making pancakes. We now know pancakes are Nico's favorite dish. Wait, no. Pancakes? Really? Nico goes on about how much they miss their mom and everyone else in the village. And then we combine the items together, but if we try to do this without the tape dispenser obtained from where the clock guy was, the button panel will fall out, giving you your tried item back. Thanks, I guess? Also, sorry for the lighting, it literally just turned nighttime, so yeah. Now that we have the button panel intact, it will ask for an additional code, which we just got. We press it and to the surface! Since the surface is also a part of the city, the colors and the tone are pretty much the same. In the factory down below, there's an easily solvable puzzle which is required for entry. We meet Dr. Silverpoint, and if you haven't guessed by now, she's the one that created Silver. We learned that Silver was going to be the first robot that behaved and thought like a human, until she suddenly went rogue, that is, and we know the rest. We grab the glitter from a room and then leave. And as we venture through the back alleys, we see a vision of a cat? To which we find a fox? That was a fox?! Anyway, it tells us that if we find a way to return home, we should. And just like that, it leaves. There's also this really cute robot that protects kittens. Like, I just want to have a plushie of him. Please, take my fucking card! We find some disc tubes that we'll use later on in a home around the area. Finally, we make our way to the library. Compared to all other areas we've been to, this place feels the most inhabited, which it is, but it's still an odd feeling. We talk with the robot up front, which proceeds to call the head librarian, George, only to tell you that Nico doesn't have permission to enter. Proceeds to call George again, and doesn't elaborate further. Wow! Just like real life. So now we have to get a library card. Also, there's books you can read about the world building in the library. I love it when games do this, it just makes things more immersive. We head back to the factory for Dr. Silverpoint. Silverpoint gives us her card, so now all we need is a picture since the library has a facial recognition system. With the tubes we have, we head to the vendor street, do the puzzle, and get our photo taken. Combine the glitter with the photo and then the card, and we have access to the library now. We get introduced to George, and oh my god, the way she talks is cracking me up. Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining, but still, she's like if someone tried talking in bro lingo. Honestly, me too, girl. We give the Clover book to George, which realizes that it belongs to the author so she can translate it for us. So we've been hearing a lot about this author guy, but unfortunately we won't get any information on him on this route. We sleep in the guest room and see a dream where the sun has been shattered to pieces. Upon translation, we learn that the book has been addressed to us, the player, and that the computer entity will help us venture to the tower. George hands us the last missing item of the 3 sun pieces. Our long journey has almost come to an end. But before doing so, Nico gets hungry, so we go to the cafe and eat some pancakes while crying. We get to the last area, which in the middle has an X shape, suggesting we close the game. We reopen the game and Nico wakes up in total darkness without the sun, and to top it all off, our communication with Nico has ended. We find a single computer. It spawns a bed next to us and asks us to sleep so that Nico can go back. We do exactly, and the game crashed. Also, as for you, Yoru, we're done here. Please don't return to this world anymore. Like, who are you, my ex? But surely this isn't the end. By finding a .ex with a clover symbol in our document folder and opening alongside the game, we get Nico to wake up and call out to them. A black clover is now in our possession. Once we interact with the computer, you're still here. Nico, why are you still here? You. Why did you come back, Yoru? I told you to stay away. You knew. I tried to cut the story short. Is that it? You want more out of me. Is that it? Fine. If you don't want to leave, I'll make sure you never do. Well, someone's being aggressive. We enter the door and a new tab appears saying, back then, I told you about the entity as little as possible. Apologies for that. I do not want to put the librarian in danger. This being has a habit of silencing the people who learn of its true nature. Regrettably, I have seen it happen to dear friends. Ah, but do not worry, the entity cannot touch you. Nor can it do anything to me. I already left the world on my own terms. I never meant for the entity to exist. But now that it's fully sentient, one thing became clear. The entity seeks death. Death to itself, death to the world, a relentless desire that manifested physically. You have already seen the scars. Right now, the entity is doing everything it can to impede your progress, stalling for even a few minutes, before you inevitably bring the sun to the tower summit. That is where you, God, will make the final judgment for the world. Of course, the entity will contact you again there. And when it does, it will trick you into shattering the sun. This will end the world instantly. No, it is not that simple. I am sorry, I do not know what to do in a situation like this. But I think I have to tell you the truth. The sun is the Messiah's tie to the world. As long as the sun is intact, the Messiah remains trapped here. Shattering the sun may terminate this world, but it is also the only way for the Messiah to return home. I did not realize things could end up like this. Please forgive me. It's a light bulb. Thank goodness it's safe. I guess Yuri isn't coming back. We finally communicate with Nico again, and the sun lights up immediately. On our final way to the tower, the computer entity also tells us to shatter the sun. Like in Nico's dream, since there's no way for both the world to be saved and for Nico to leave. So we must choose wisely. If we choose to bring the sun back, we get a cutscene of everyone enjoying the sun's presence. Also, if you took proper care of Maze, you'll see this. Absolutely adorable. And if we choose to return home, Nico thanks us one last time and goes off to her mom. Dude, what? She just walked off like that? Okay, that's actually so cool. Not gonna lie, I actually started to tear up as I saw the world go into total darkness, but at least Nico was able to go back. What a journey. Wait, what? That's not all? There's another route that's accessible after completing, if I'm not wrong, the 2 main endings of the story. For me, it was after the return home ending, so I'm not too sure about that. Once you restart the game, Nico will call out to you, and unlike before, the Clover Book of the author will automatically be in your inventory at the start. After interacting with the computer, it will tell you to go find the password in Documents. There will be new PNGs in your folder. It reads as follows. It looks like you were able to remove the restriction. In that case, you are ready to continue. The necessary preparations are already in place. This session might run a very different course, depending on your actions. If you can recognize my symbol, you will know what you should do. I confess, it will be risky. The probability that the entity's condition will worsen is quite high. And if that happens, then... Look at me, asking you for favors, only to become so apprehensive once you agreed. I understand if you wish to leave some questions unanswered. I understand if you do not believe in a happy resolution. I understand if you are simply afraid of what might happen. Because I am afraid too. If you enjoy the world as is, if you are satisfied with the story as is, if you really do not want to see anything change for better or for worse, then pretend you never saw this. Carry the session as you normally would. Do not use my journal for anything other than what you were already familiar with. This option will always remain for you, though. That's why I implore you to consider the Messiah, the world, my children. They all deserve their good ending. Thank you for listening. Goodbye. There are uppercase letters in the notes which read out soul size. At first, it seems as if the entity is speaking normally as it did in the previous route. But then, like Nico, it remembers you. We continue as normal and get to the Barrens. We speak with Prophabot. Nico calls out to us again and asks us if we have met before, to which we say yes. We make our way into Silver's house, then to the mine. We see a vision, to which then the Clover Book eliminates too. We inspected to see a minecart. I didn't understand it at first, but you're supposed to stand on the clover patch to initiate the cutscene. The minecart appears out of thin air and we ride it alongside Silver. As we delve deeper, the entity starts talking once again. I do not recognize those placed in the protocol. This isn't what I'm supposed to be showing you at all! How did you get here? I can only think of one person. He contacted you? How long has he been doing this? It doesn't matter at this point. You're going out of bounds. You should turn back. Please turn back. Bad things are going to happen. Very bad things. At this rate, Nico will be in danger. Please turn back. As soon as we drop off, a broken terminal reactivates itself, to which Silver tells us to investigate by ourselves. We meet a robot at the back. Nico comments on how similar he looks to Prophabot. But he hasn't a clue, since his memories had been removed for safety reasons. He asks us to show the journal, to which he then says, "Then it has already begun." Like, stop being so ominous. He entrusts us to install the backup for his memory card. And for that we need to solve a puzzle by going to the corresponding dormitory numbers and see which units are there. Afterwards, he tells us that he is indeed similar to Profabot by being his prototype, but simply tells us that Profabot, and I quote, is a gross simplification of my design. Emo alert! Emo alert! But this is where it gets serious, as he says, I was built before the real world ended, and asks us if we remember the ending. We are told that the world is a simulation program called the World Machine, and that everything other than Nico is fake, because of the sole fact that the machine requires the mental processing of a real person. But then he immediately tells us to continue as we did in the last session, and doesn't elaborate further. However, before we can return, I remember it, what happened in the tower, what I tried to do, and how you managed to see through it all. We have been through all this. Even though it was only supposed to run once, you still managed to come back. How did you come back? How did you bring Nico back? And then you even managed to break out of bounds, bringing Nico to places that should never have been. It was him, wasn't it? And now, Nico is upset. What even happened in that room back there? What did Nico learn? Nico is upset. I can feel it. I told you to turn back, Yoru. But you've chosen to trust that man instead of me. No, not even that. Just his buck. His ghost. This world is not real. The people are not real. Nico's upset. Nico is... No. Everything is wrong! The entity starts breaking down as well. The cave collapses, but Silver manages to hold on while we get out. She gets corrupted and... Proto gives his memory just before he is also lost, only to get the saddest cutscene in the game. The world and Nico is truly at stake now. We arrive at the Glen, and make our way to Calamus and Alulu's house, since the city gate is swarmed by those blocky corruptions. We see another vision, and the boat becomes available to go to the burial grounds. I love this cutscene so much. And no, I'm not biased because I love Alula. Just look at her! The siblings go on ahead to pay their respects for their mother. Also, this little smile from Calamus just made my day so much. We meet Cedric quickly after. We inform him that Proto didn't make it out, but he reassures us since we have Proto's memories, he can build him back, and tells us that he needs our help to fix his plane, which his father invented, like damn! We visit Maze afterwards, where she sacrifices herself to pave the way for us by creating vines on the bridges. We quickly find the necessary items for the plane and head back to Cedric. As he fixes it, he explains how the real world had died out, with no way to save as Proto foresaw that the Savior's coming would be futile. And in a desperate attempt to salvage, his father had built the world machine from everyone's collective memories. But since the machine cannot operate by itself, he used himself at first. But he was late to notice the error in the code, as it waited for someone to install it on their hardware, which is where we come in. The siblings rush to us. The squares have made their way here with no way to escape. Cedric takes us to the city, saying that he'll make a detour to get the siblings later. But as soon as we get there, the squares take a hold of the plane. Cedric tells us to find the fox lady, Rue, and hurries to get Proto back by... crazy little We mostly continue as normal until... it asks us for another password, which was the same as before. We see 4 lit portals, which will be important later. We find the elevator, but the lever is too high for us to reach, so we bring the lamplighter man back. But the squares reach us once again, making the elevator unusable. Cedric runs to the labs as Kip unsuccessfully tries to stop him. She takes us to the library, where we have a heartfelt conversation with Nico, who is now determined to both save the world and go home for good. We talk with Rue, who takes us back to the clock room. She also explains that the main root of the problem is that the world's machine code, who is the entity talking to us all along, conflicted with the first law of robots, to never harm a person, as it sees Nico being harmed and bringing them here. We also finally learn what taming is, by treating a robot as a living being and forming a strong bond. The robot can learn to develop outside its programming, making it almost human. Miraculously, Cedric and Proto come to our rescue. Remember the portals? They all stand on their corresponding colors, and we go to our documents and drag the portal files to the big portal. We go into the author's room, then onto the world machine by closing and reopening the game. Relax. I'm just borrowing your reflection to talk to you. It's not like my physical form is good for that. Why did you come here? Can't you see? The disruption, the squares, they're closing in. Nico, please. Get out of here. Let me meet my end in peace. The squares are blocking my way too, you know. Oh, I'm sorry, it's alright. No living being should be in this place, Nico. Is this the tower? Part of it. This is the center of the engine. Inside my head, so to speak. So this is the center of the world machine? You know my original name. How? Rue, Cedric, Prototype. They all told me bits and pieces. I'm not even sure if I understand a lot of the stuff they say, but I know what you're supposed to be. I know why you had to be built. And I know why I'm here. They told you? When? Wait, you don't know about that? But I thought you were the world. Aren't you supposed to see everything? No, all this was outside of the protocol. The session was never supposed to happen the way it did. The story wasn't written into my protocol at all. Oh right, Rue told me something about how your creator had to alter the code. I think it was to connect some areas together so that we can meet. My creator, yes. Yoru, listen to my creator. They were all working beyond my scope of influence. Back at the mines, I remember, Yoru did something to find a hidden map. I didn't even recognize it. I couldn't see anything there. I just knew what you were feeling. You were really upset. Something happened in there to make you upset. After that, I panicked. That was when the cave-in happened. I remember the structure collapsing. I thought you got hurt. In that moment, I really thought I was shutting myself down for good. I really am a flawed machine, aren't I? What kind of machine would go against the wishes of its own creator? What kind of machine would... The squares. Rue told me that it was your own code going bad, but that's not really your fault, is it? Yes, it was! At first, it was intentional. During testing, long before he realized I was self-aware, I would rearrange specific parts of the code, jumbling up bits and pieces of the landscape, blocking passages, collapsing catwalks. Though they were very localized, it caused my creator a great deal of frustration, forcing him to exit and restart testing again and again. Why would you do that? I got curious! I just thought he would figure it out eventually. But before he knew how to fix it, the world's NPCs, the characters, some of them got too close and it spiraled out of control after that. I couldn't contain it at all. My panic only made it worse. Eventually, any characters who gained the knowledge of who I am, their code, my code, couldn't handle it. Previous iterations of the world had more people, you know. And I almost endangered my creator too. I was so scared, Nico! I know, you're upset, because you don't want to put living people in danger. Living people like me. In the beginning, I tried to fight it, but my core programming made me summon you here. I tried to send you back at the tower, but it did not work. Then I wanted you to break the sun. I thought that it would have worked, but I had no way to be sure. But Yoda brought you back anyway. Nico, all I wanted is for you to wake up back in your world. But I don't think I can make it happen. But I know I can't go back without saving the world for real. Which means we have to fix the root of the problem. We have to fix you. But that's... I know the original ending your creator put in was a happy one. Do you remember what it's supposed to be? It's far too late for that. That part of my code has been long corrupted. That's okay. I would still like to know. Alright. You were supposed to place the sun at the summit. And then credits would scroll. Credits? And then you would return to the room we woke up in. That's where you would have been able to leave. And why is it that you can't do it now? Nico. The code's gone, remember? Shattering the sun was only supposed to be a workaround. I don't even remember the original code enough to describe it! But at the same time oh, I don't know. It sounds like you're always fighting yourself. You can tell, huh? It's the whole thing about your conflict and your code, isn't it? I'm a machine, Nico. Machines are built with a fundamental law, which is never let a living being come to harm. You knew. My very existence conflicts with that law. I thought the life of a living being like you is so unique, so precious. This fake world isn't worth that risk. But the people here, I think they're code too. You know this. Their behavior all derived from a predetermined matrix of actions. All extensions of my own programming. They can't act outside of it. You, though, you're the only person who's actually real here. That's why it's pointless to put you in danger to save them. To save me. I don't think that's true. About the people I know. You said this session wasn't in your code, right? Yeah? So, if this session wasn't supposed to happen, if even you didn't know what to do, how would the characters, how did the people know how to respond? You said it yourself. When you didn't know what was happening, you kind of just stopped working for a while. So how did the people know what to do to help me get here? Even if it meant getting hurt themselves. Even if it meant messing up their own code. You might not think they are real, but there must be something real in them. And if they're all supposed to be extensions of your code, there must be more to your own programming than you know too. Can you try to put me through the ending? The one you described. How many times do I have to say this? That code is gone! It's all squares now! I'll just put you in danger. I'll risk it. I remember. Rue said that the world was never designed to put me in danger. Your creator wouldn't want that. And I trust you too. Even if your code is broken, you can still go outside that code, right? I can't! I'm not tamed! Yes, you are! You talk just like the tame robots I know. The robot lady. Prototype. Taming is when a real person cares about you, right? It's when a real person thinks you're real too, right? Well, guess what? I do! And I know Yoda does too! Even though you told them they only had one chance, they found a way back, didn't they? Why do you think Yoda would keep coming back? Why do you think Yoda would restart even after the ending? I think Yoda wants to save the both of us. So please, give me a chance. I don't know. I've never done this before. I'm scared. You can do it. I know you can. You've helped me come this far. I'll try. I can't promise anything, but here, take the sun. I'll try to remember the lost code and recreate it. But for that to happen, Nico, you need to navigate through this room. You need to get past the squares somehow. Oh, I don't like this. What if you get hurt? It's fine. It's fine. I'll try to be careful, okay? I can do this. Yoru, I think it's working. Nico was right. I might actually be tamed after all. I remembered what the code was supposed to be. Only bits and pieces, but I can remember. And I'm trying to fill in the blanks too. And I'm restoring the original ending as we speak. Nico will be able to reach the tower summit at the end of the credits. After replacing the sun, Nico will go back to where it all began. And then Nico will be able to go home from there. But this is permanent. After Nico wakes up back home, this world would only exist as a memory. For Nico, a dream, like thousands of other dreams. For you, a story. But as long as Nico remembers this place, as long as you remember this place, it'll be alright. Please say goodbye to Nico for me. I can't tell you how much I cried during this route. It was way too much emotional for me. At the end of the day, ONESHOT is like a comfort game that you can never play again. If you enjoyed the video and would like to see more, please like and subscribe. It would mean the world to me. And honestly, if anyone can help me replay this, I will forever be in your depth. So go to the comments. I have tried everything and still wasn't able to. I have deleted the files, re-downloaded them, then deleted the files again, re-downloaded, deleted the files again, re-download! Have I told you guys that I like this game?